I always thought for myself that anytime that I wanted something and I got it, I'd be happy. I remember when I was 5 years old, my mom used to take me to Manhattan to the Toys R Us and get me that toy that I wanted. But one thing that my mom taught me is that I always want something. She's always saying that you want something. I never really knew what she meant, but I always wanted something. And every time when I wanted one thing, I was happy for it. Then after a while, I wanted something else. I wasn't grateful for that one thing. It was always something. And I realized that over the time, happiness is not something that you get. It's something that you decide to do. And man, you know, I feel like every time when my mom took me to that Toys R Us over in Manhattan, it was really to teach me a lesson. Because one thing's for sure, that giant T-Rex that was in there used to scare the living out of me. And I was terrified. And I no longer wanted a new toy because I no longer wanted to go to that Toys R Us because that T-Rex was that scary. So, thank you, Mom. Welcome everybody to the Rally Cry podcast. I am your host, Angel Rios, and I'm so excited that you're here, that you trust me with your time, if you're cleaning, if you're driving. Just a reminder that when we are having these kinds of conversations, it's all about what can we walk away with the kind of conversation that we're having right now. And I'm just so glad that you guys are able to, give me your time and trust me with your time, and that, it's all about improving ourselves, right? The relationships that we have, but also the relationship that we have with ourselves. And I really want to do a good highlight about the most recent milestone about having a game night over at White Lion. Shout outs to White Lion. Shout outs to Julie, Lead by Love, and she was my co-host. And White Lion was also able to make this come into fruition, make this come into life. I had my first event of a game night with Evie over down in Connecticut, which was really dope. And I really am striving to do more events, striving to have more of an experience for you guys. So I'm so glad that everybody that was able to come out was able to show out, have fun, and even people that were already there that didn't know about it also was able to take part in it and also have a good time, just playing games and having a good time. I'm just so glad that that was something that was able to come through. Now, I really am excited for this episode because, I really want to be intentional with the things that we're going to be talking about, right? Something that, we can really walk away from, because sometimes I got to sit back for myself and think about, okay, what is it that I'm learning for myself, and what can my audience also learn? And a lot of my friends always say that I always have great energy and I'm this ball of light, and I'm always happy, right? I always have a smile on my face. And, it made me think about, like, am I really happy, right? What is it that I do when I'm with my friends and I'm out in public that makes people think that, right? And it's not to say that I'm not a happy guy, right? I believe that, genuinely, I always try to look out at the good parts of the day rather than focusing on the negative. But I really want to tell you that I wasn't always like that, right? I remember that when I was living in New York, I was 5 years old, right? And this is, I feel like there was a lot of pivotal moments when I was 5, and if it was 5 or 6, whichever. But the point is that every time I come out of school, I always had homework, right? We always had homework, and it was one of those things where I didn't want to do the homework. I just want to go home, have fun, right? Because I already had enough of school from the beginning of the day and then until I got home. And my mom was always like, do the homework now so you don't have to worry about doing it later, right? And sometimes it'd be so hard that I can't even do it. I used to tell my mom, and as I'm sitting down at the table in the living room doing the homework, and she's in front of me, and she's saying, you just gotta, figure it out, and asking me questions, and I just tell her, I can't do it. It's too hard. I don't know what to do. And she used to always tell me, what is that? I don't know. What is that? Like, can't is not even in the dictionary. And I was looking at her so confused and almost frustrated, because I'm already frustrated. And I was like, what do you mean? It is a word. I learned it. It's in the dictionary. And what she was really trying to tell me, as she told me in the moment, it was that when you say you can't, then you won't, because you're telling yourself you can't, right? Because your words have a lot of power on how it affects the way you perform, and also the way it affects the way you feel. And I feel like every so often I think about that, about the words that I use is a big part on my happiness, right? And I think, I want to always be able to give you guys some things you can walk away with, right? So I got 3 things that's going to give you tips, tricks, however you want to call it, so that you can be a lot more happier, healthier, and just more healed, right? It really starts with number 1, right? I really want to start with numero uno. And it's really paying attention to the words you play, right? I think when my mom was telling me about, oh, if you keep saying you can, then you won't. It's literally the energy that you're giving. I'm really all about energy. I don't know about you guys, but energy is something that you really want to take in consideration, because the energy that you put out really reinvests into yourself and shows off in front of you. So I want you to always be mindful on the kind of words you're saying. Like, when I was always saying I can't, it was really limiting me, because I kept believing that I couldn't. I kept telling myself these words that, oh, I just can't. And it was one of those things that I had to teach myself with recognizing the words that I use. And I'm not talking about just saying I can't. I'm just talking about every detail of my sentence is impactful, right? And I want to give you some examples of what I mean, so you can get the idea, right? This is really what most people call reframing, right? Like, reframing the way you think and saying it differently, right? So instead of saying, for example, I'm upset, you can say, I feel upset, because you're not an upset person. You're a person that feels upset. Or if you say, I'm not good at something, don't say that you're not good at it. Say that I'm doing my best, right? Because you don't want to believe. And why would you want to believe that you're not good at something, that you are this, right? You're almost convincing yourself. And I always say, right, the things that go unnoticed is the things that impact you the most, right? You might be sitting there and think like, oh, well, what is that going to do? Like, oh, if I start changing the way that I talk, or I start being positive, that might sound like I'm being delusional or nothing like that. And the thing is that you have to believe it, right? You saying it is one thing, right? But you have to have some faith in the things that you're saying, right? When you say I can't, you switch it with saying I will, right? Eventually I will. You have to be your own motivation to be able to get out of the, hole that you're in. Sometimes we look for other people to take us out of a hole. And if we do, then that's great. That's a blessing in disguise. But what's more important is about you being your own motivationalist, right? However you want to call it, right? Pick yourself up. And it really comes with not beating yourself down with your own words. You can really be your worst critic, right? I be my worst critic. You don't know how many times I do something, if it's recording or if it's content that I'm doing and creating, just about anything. I can be a little bit of too big of a critic on myself, while I have other people saying, oh, this is great, and I'm just like, oh, but it's not enough, right? I have to sometimes just allow and accept the fact that maybe it's not as much as I would like, and I'm gonna strive to that. I'm gonna work towards that. But I shouldn't be so hard on myself that I'm not exactly that thing that I want to be. Matter of fact, I should visualize more of that person that I want to be. Visualize more of that thing that I'm getting, right? And imagine it. Because when you can imagine it, it becomes reality, because you're setting yourself a vision. It's like tuning in to a channel and your vision is open to that thing that you're imagining. Like, you're just being open. This is what it's going to look like. And matter of fact, you'll be surprised. Some of the things that you get into, that you say you're going to do, sometimes is a lot bigger than what you expected. And that is the beauty. The most important thing is just going for it. And it really starts with the words that you tell yourself, the conversation that you have for yourself. And the reason why that's a big thing is because not only it is to motivate yourself and to get yourself up, but the way that you talk to yourself is also how you allow other people to talk to you, right? And honestly, I'm gonna go to number two, right? Number two is really paying attention to what you watch and listen to, which is kind of hand in hand, right? Paying attention on the words that I'm saying, but also paying attention to not only the words I'm saying, but the words that I'm hearing from somewhere else, right? If it's someone, or if it's music, or if it's whatever you watch on TV, those are big things. I mean, come on. We can say when it comes to when you have a kid, if you have a kid, or when it just comes to kids, that they shouldn't be watching certain things. Why do we think kids shouldn't watch certain things? Because it's gonna take away their innocence. It's gonna take away a lot of things. It's gonna put more stress on them. It's gonna make them confused, right? Now, I'm not saying that's gonna be the same thing with you, right? It's not gonna be the same as we're adults, right? We won't get confused. But the aspect is that you wanna be careful on the energy that you're investing into, the kind of thing that you're focusing on, right? Because what you put your focus on is what you put your energy on. And how many times are we seeing something about what other people are doing, right? That's great. That can come from inspiration, but there's a fine line between what we watch and listen to and how much of that is. Like, I am a true believer that what someone watches and their favorite genre in music, what they watch, and the kind of conversations that they have or delve into says a lot about who they are. And it's just true. It's even, studies even prove the fact that someone's personality comes a lot from their own interest, right? And your interest involve interest, right? What you're interested in interests you just as much. If you are focused on R&B and certain kind of gang violence music, then that's a certain mindset that you're getting at. It's not to say that you're about a lifestyle that you're listening to, right? Because every now and then I like getting into R&B, trust me, and I still do to this day. But I'd be very intentional about the kind of lyrics that I'm listening to. And to be honest, there's some music that I really just stray away from, not because it wouldn't be good, but it's just like it's just not my vibe. It's just for what? Matter of fact, one of the biggest genres that catch my attention is soul R&B or Afro beats, and honestly songs that just have a little bit of singing. I don't know what it is, but I think me growing up and listening to a lot of music and most movies where they're singing a lot, I just like singing. So using those vocal cords is what really gets me going, right? And it's just the truth. Right? The truth is that what you pay attention to plays a big part on your happiness. And I'm not saying you're going to be happy, continuously every single day, because everybody has their ups and downs. It's not, you don't want to strive for perfection. You just want to understand on what a perfect day would look like and the closest to that. Because you don't want to keep striving and trying to reach to that same high, right? That high of happiness, that how you felt back then. Oh, I remember that day. Oh man, I wish I had another day like that. Or, damn, it would be nice to do this again. And the thing is, even if you did it again, it's not going to be as exhilarating than it was the first time. You sometimes got to let some of the happiness that you had before was because it was your first time. Some of the happiness that you had before is because you never done it before. Some of the happiness before that you had was something that, it was just spontaneous, right? So don't be so fixated on going after that one thing or what it is you think it may look like going after happiness, because you're going to get disappointed. I've disappointed myself. But pay very close attention to the things you listen to and the conversations that you're getting into, right? What is it that I'm listening to that I will be responding to? And that right there had, given me a big perspective on my energy, right? Because the whole point is that when I can preserve my energy, I can be more, charged up. I can be able to give it in other places that make me feel whole, right? Whatever it is, you want to be able to preserve that energy. And you do that by being mindful and being intentional about what you're doing, about what you're listening to, because it plays a role. At the end of the day, it's just called social influence. Influence comes from literally everything that is in our daily lives, even from what you eat. But that's another topic. Now, I want to go to the last one. That's number 3. And it's more of something that you can do right now, right? I think it's something that has helped me. And, it's not to say it's a power up, right? It's not to say it's like a superpower. You just do it and it just automatically works. You really have to believe in yourself. Like, what do you want to believe? Do you want to believe that you can't? Do you want to believe that you are not capable of doing this, that you won't be able to get this? Do you really want to believe that? It really starts with yourself and where are you coming from and why you're pursuing to be a better person, right? Like, of course, you want to be a better person, right? Who wouldn't want to be a better person? But it comes more than just saying that you want to be a better person, but telling yourself intentionally why. And for number 3, I want you to go on a rampage of appreciation. And I feel like I briefly said it, but what you appreciates, right? What you focus on is what also focuses on you. So what is your focus, right? Again, what is it that you want to believe, right? When you appreciate this thing, it grows. So do you want to keep believing that you can't? Do you want to keep believing that, you're not enough? Do you want to focus on that? Because yes, you can have moments when you feel like you're not enough. I have those all the time, right? And that's the point. The point is that the human experience is to teach us both sides of the spectrum, the good and the bad, and understand what's in the middle. And understanding I need a little bit of both to understand what is the true meaning of what it is to live. And I think sometimes we look at the worst things because we want to protect ourselves. I always think about, worst case scenario, this is what will happen, and I'll figure it out from there. Worst case scenario, this will happen, and this is what I'll do. But one thing that I love is, one of my biggest inspirations, Big Sean, he says, what is the best thing that can happen, right? Try to reframe the perspective that you have been given from whomever or wherever you got it from. It doesn't even matter, but about that negative thought. How can I flip that? How can I add more light to that? And I think with this practice, you'll be able to do that because remember, happiness is a decision that you make every day. It's something that you get up and even though there's something that's in front of your face that can bring you down, you'll be like, nope, I got control. I'm not going to let this hold me down. I'm not going to let this take over because I am in control. This is my world, my favors that I can do it. It might take time. It might not be as fast as I would like, but I know I will be able to get there. So, rampage of appreciation, right? I want you to try to take moments where you could appreciate anything that's around you, right? I can even start right now. I really appreciate this lighting. I really appreciate this mic right here because you guys are able to hear me a little bit more clearer. I appreciate this iPad where I have my notes so that I make sure I'm on track and I don't miss anything because I really want to make sure that you guys get all the information and just the things that I learn. And I just really appreciate today. I really appreciate the weather. I appreciate all the people that has been supportive of me. I appreciate where I'm at right now. And I could just keep on going and going and going about what I can appreciate, right? You can do the closest things to you. It could be as simple as, appreciating, the clothes on your back, the atmosphere that you're in, where you live, the fact that you got a roof over your over your head, anything, right? Everybody has their own circumstances. And I think sometimes that's what makes it so hard that, happiness is not something that can be easily attained, but I'm telling you that it can. It really comes with waking up and telling yourself that, you know what? This might not happen. This might be happening right now, but I know that this is not going to last forever. That this is temporary. Just like everything else is temporary, that happiness is temporary. That when you're upset, it's temporary. When you're in a situation, it's temporary. We might not know how long it is, but the fact is that let's just embrace where we are and to whatever it is, let's pivot if we need to be. Let's, go on to the next thing that we want to do. Let's, get into something that I've really been, thinking about doing, that is, pulling more of my creative side. It takes practice. It's something you have to really acknowledge and really sit in silence about. Because if you don't put intention into the thing that you're paying attention to, then you're going to be wondering why you feel depressed, anxiety, whatever it is that you call stress. You got to think about it. Do you want that person, that thing to take your happiness? Or do you want to tell yourself that, I have control to take back my happiness and decide that, you know what, today is going to be a good day because I said so. Today I'm going to have a day that is so great that it doesn't matter what comes my way, that I'm not going to let anybody take my peace. Because why would I let them, right? Just let it go, and understanding that what people do and what people think and what people say about you has nothing to do with you. It has something to do with them, because they have their own perspective and you have your own. And in perspective, I want you to just think about the good things. Still pay attention. Why were you thinking negatively? Or why were you thinking on the bad side of things? Because that's important. Never saying that you should ignore the bad. But eventually, we need to let it go and think about, okay, what can we appreciate? What can we focus on? And what can we really take with us? And what do we really need to let go? So just remember, guys, that happiness is a skill. Happiness is something that you choose to be. Happiness is something that you intend to be. And it's something that will come into fruition as much as you allow it. If you expect the best, you will get the best. But if you expect the worst, then you will get the worst, because that's what you're focusing on. So I hope you guys got something from this episode. I am so excited to be doing more of these solo episodes, as you guys have asked me to do more solo episodes, and I want to be able to do that. Continue to still have great guests to come on the show that really make impact in our community, and it's on up from here. It's really about believing in myself, and I want you guys to know that you should be able to do the same, because there's nobody else that can take happiness from you but yourself. As long as you don't let someone else control your emotions, then you're the one that is driving that plane, driving that car, or cruising. So again, guys, I appreciate you. I hope you really got something from this. Ways to get into a more happier, healthier, and more healed lifestyle. And it's one step at a time. And until next time, you guys be easy. Peace.